Good morning, church. So wet Sunday, and we can say it's only half full. I'm sad, but I'm glad that you were able to make it. Although we also pray for those who are not able to join us to worship today. The lesson I've prepared for this is about greed and who loses. Probably the word greed it's very common, and we probably haven't dig further on this one. And hopefully today we can learn more about this topic. Greed, who loses? Is it you or the people around you? Greed, when we read the dictionary, we have plenty of definitions, and depends on how we can relate further. This is the best I have read about the definition of greed, which says it's a chronic dissatisfaction with what one has. It's the belief that happiness, status, or security will arrive with the next deal, the next purchase, the next digit in the bank account. So the word there is next. But that satisfaction is always deferred. So when we have seen the next digit, that's deferred. And often it never comes. I find this very, very strong definition by Manfred Kent de Vries, leadership tutor or instructor. And hopefully you can get more from that. And those people who are experiencing greed or displaying greed, how do we actually define that this person is actually greedy? And there's 7 descriptions that we can describe greediness. Number 1, it always consider the short run, the shortcut, the easy way. Less input, more output. In commercial terms, it's called efficiency. They are focused on satisfying their immediate needs and leave it to others to cope with the consequences. This is common in workplaces. Second is self-centered. Always saying me, me, me. With very little regard to the needs and feelings of others. As long as it satisfies the me, it's a win already. It's a win. But it's not necessarily selfishness. We will touch base the word selfishness after. They never satisfy. Greedy people look at the world as zero-sum game. They believe that they deserve more, even if it comes at someone else's expense. Just pay, and then pay. Envy and greed are like twins. Whatever other people has, I want the same. Oh, that's the beautiful car that they have there. I'm going to start to save a lot and buy a new car similar to that one. Fast, strong, more torque. Lack of empathy. Greedy people lack empathy to others. They don't understand the feelings of others, other than themselves. They have little qualms about causing pain to others. The words they spill, the lack of genuine interest in the ideas and feelings of others, and their unwillingness to take personal responsibility for their behavior. They are also manipulative. They will set up things so that you'll be involved in favor of them. They are highly talented in taking credit for work done by others. Again, very common in workplaces, at uni, at school. You can see this as well. This behavior, again, we're not here to condemn it, but to identify it. They know no limits. They will compromise moral values and ethics to achieve their goals. They look for loopholes or clever ways to outsmart the rules and regulations that have been put into place to moderate this kind of behaviors. We can see this in politics. Or those who are influential, those who have good money, put it that way, that they can circumnavigate the law. And one of these popular situation here in Adelaide itself, very rich people who speed along the CBD, which is 50 kilometers per hour, and I think he made 70. Never get fined, jail. In fact, the police who put a ticket on him was discharged again because of his capacity to circumnavigate, because he doesn't know limits. And it's so important for us to understand why this behavior of people. And again, let's do not confuse ourselves with greed and selfishness. Selfish people is not always greedy. Selfish people not necessarily desire to be under their ownership. May have multiple assets, say for example 5 cars, and not willing to share one of them to you. On the other hand, greedy people is not always selfish. Greedy may share what they have. They might have 5 cars, but they will allow you to use one of them, provided that car remains his. He's got control. You can only drive it between 8 to 12. Bring it back to the shed after. There's a difference there. The problem with the greedy people is they're constantly looking for opportunities to store and multiply. They will never be satisfied with 5 cars. Next year, 5 Ferraris, 6, 7, and constantly. It satisfies their desire of more than one possession. Selfish, they just want to share it with you. When I was 9-year-old, or younger, I enjoyed fried egg dipped on a diluted salt. And when my dad, every time his pay comes, he buys banana ketchup. So you're leveling up. I hide the banana ketchup. I don't want to share it. That's selfishness. But in the same manner, my reason is for me to be able to use for tomorrow. So that's greediness. I share a little bit, but I'll make sure that I have something for tomorrow. What's the reason behind this endless desire? Why people become greedy? And then there are three things that is relating to the people to become greedy. And it's very important for us to understand this, because the problem with greediness is we ourselves, we might see it to others, but for ourselves, we might not know that we are actually experiencing it, displaying it without us knowing. One of the very strong reasons is the early deprivation. Some of those who experience childhood scarcity on either material or emotional, so not just material, often develops thinking that abundance never satisfies. They can't describe the word enough. Material and emotional. Again, similar to what I've experienced. I can't forget that. What happened there is I feel like I lost my cousins. Those that I refuse to share that banana ketchup. I feel like they don't exist. I feel like I'm lost within that table. I feel like I wasn't there. The emotional part of it is people who never experience attention, love during childhood, often during their adulthood, tends to always be seeking attention, always be loved, always be praised. And that alone causes grief to that person. That if someone doesn't give that emotion to them, or expression or feelings, it turns different ways. It doesn't satisfy them. And if they have 100 friends who appreciates them, not enough. They want 20. They always seek. Second is insecurities, when life is thought to be always a competition with others. This is very common in third world countries. As in childhood, as child, most of the kids were taught or shaped to, to be very academically inclined. You have to always do 99.9 grades. Sometimes they call the parents there tiger mom. And so that mental settings, mindset, that there's always competition, the child always seeks to become the best, always prepare themselves to aim the highest into their expense and sometimes others' expense. Third is cultural. I've got three good examples here. I'm not sure about the experience of the Lagom from Nordic countries, Sweden. The concept of just enough. Um, and, and I'm just reading this taught me why, if you go to IKEA, some of their designs are very, very simple. The word there is lagom, neither too much nor too little. So when you see those furnitures by the Swedish or the Nordic, they're very, very simple. Tables, chairs. And that is lived by those people. There's neither too much nor too little, just enough. And they also have this culture of how they spend the time drinking coffee. And they call it fika. At the heart of everyday life in Sweden, a coffee break that's about far more than a quick cuppa. Because we hear, we often take our coffee, let's have a 5 minute break. Over there, it's no. For as long as you enjoy it, take your time. There's no rush. Here we rush so that we can go to the next task, and task, and task, and task. There is different. Take your time. Enjoy the hot sip of coffee. That's culture that drives one's behavior. In Japanese, they have this wabi-sabi as well, a way of finding beauty in simplicity and imperfection rather than excess. That's why you may see some of their uh, displays with cracks. They don't just throw away things because they're broken, because they can afford to buy a new one, because they want a new one. No, they will find beauty out of those broken jars. Wabi sabi. And the third is very common in other countries where men are allowed to marry up to 4 women to satisfy lust and ego, the Sharia law. These are very cultural things that makes it difficult for others to deal with. And what are the common perceptions about greed? Because sometimes we get it wrong. Rich people are greedy, and there's already judgment. Poor rich people, they've already been judged. Oh, that one is greedy. Can we just realize first that they're simply blessed? They're simply being rewarded with hard working and doing the right thing. Being one is normal in order to achieve one's goal. There's always this reason. If you want to achieve different result, do different things. It is loud and obvious. This is very true. In contrary, it is very silent like termite. Very silent. You don't know that you are actually living a greedy life, a behavior that is not comfortable for others. Often we don't realize that we are behaving as one, and people are staying away from us. We are not achieving. That's the more problem. And Jesus warns his people about this. Luke chapter 12, 13 to 15, where someone in the crowd said to him, Teacher, tell my brother to divide the inheritance with me. But look at this, someone. Of all the people who's approaching him, sick people, people who wants to learn, calling him rabbi. This one is asking for Jesus to arbitrate on behalf of him so that he can get some of the inheritance. And how many times this happens in this world? And often inheritance is the reason why siblings go different direction. And Jesus is very, very clear on this one. He said, man, who appointed me a judge or an arbiter between you? Jesus is never interested of that. Jesus is interested of our soul, not of any material possession. Then he said to them, watch out, be on your guard against all kinds of greed. Poor man. He's only asking to have someone to mediate so he can have half of the inheritance. Now he's being an example of all kinds of greed. Life does not consist in abundance of possessions. Abundance of possessions. That's what the man was after. Abundance of possessions through the inheritance. And then Jesus continued with the parable of the rich fool who had a huge harvest, planning to build a huge storage so he can have plenty for the future. Unfortunately, that man's life was taken on that night, as much as he planned. And that's the message of Jesus, not just for that man, for those people who are hearing me, but also for us. I had a very good chat with David early this morning. We are reaching that age where life is very fast and the material possessions we have seems to be less important. And then we start to look forward for things that we can't see, things that Jesus promised. And this is the message Jesus did. What are those kinds of greed that Jesus was referring to? Number one, love of money and possessions. Again, we have reminded, we work hard, we are rewarded, we are blessed. Money itself is not the devil. The love of money is the devil one. Paul's message, 1 Timothy 6:10, for the love of money is a root of all kinds of evil. Some people, eager for money, have wandered from the faith and pierced themselves with many griefs. What happened to those people who love money because of that greed? They work 7 days a week. We even met few people who's got a beautiful house, but they haven't enjoyed. They themselves share this. I regret that they can't enjoy the time being at home because they've been at work for 7 days. The family aren't talking. They can't share a meal. Greed over personal image. What do you think about those tattoos? Personal image. 1 Peter 3, verse 3 to 4. Your beauty should not come from outward adornment, such as elaborate hairstyles and the wearing of gold jewelry or fine clothes. Rather, it should be at your inner self. And if you think that people can't see your inner self, think twice. How? The unfading beauty of gentle and quiet spirit. People can actually see the gentle and quiet spirit, which is of great worth in God's sight. As much as we want people to see us in better clothing, impressive jewelries, consider God's sign, which is pleasing for Him. Outward image is insignificant than inner beauty, from humility, compassion, and love. Recognition. Be careful not to practice your righteousness in front of others to be seen by them. If you do, you will have no reward from your Father in heaven. It was very applicable to the Pharisees that time. It remains applicable for us. If we would like to be recognized as a better person, recognized a very educated person, recognized in everything, think twice. It's better to be recognized by the Lord as His good servant. Serving two masters in different perspective. Matthew 6:24. No one can serve two masters. Either you will hate the one and love the other, or you will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money. How is greed working in this one? Because you want to be very wealthy. At the same time, work for the Lord. It's good if you can, but make God higher than anyone else, than anything else. Prioritize God. You are not going to die for will. That's why you can't serve two masters. Because both masters will ask you two different directions. God towards Him. The other one is different directions, and no one wants to be there. What we need versus what we want. This is not for us to understand. This is not to look at people who are greedy, but look at us. How can we not be greedy? What we need versus what we want. Need fulfills requirements, gap, and absence. Want is what our heart desires. And this is the warning by Jesus. What our heart desires. This is the problem with greed. It is heart driven with which Jesus warns. Matthew 6:21, for where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Working 7 days a week, 6 to 6. Why? Because I want to have a good bank balance. So that when I retire, I can go there, I can buy this, I have everything. Go back to that parable of the rich man. His life was taken that night. It's a warning by Jesus. You don't have the full control. I am. Mark 7:21-23. For it is from within, out of a person's heart, that evil thoughts come. Sexual immorality, theft, murder, adultery, greed, malice, deceit, lewdness, envy, slander, arrogance, and folly. All these evils come from inside and defile person. And when that happens, like Proverbs says, Proverbs 25:28, a man without self-control, if you don't know what you want, you don't know what you need, you don't have the self-control. It's like a city broken into and left without walls. That's dangerous. A city without walls. What's going to happen? A house without walls. A house without doors. What happened there? Very, very dangerous. Evil can just come to you, snatch everything of you. You don't have boundaries as well. You lose everything when you don't have walls. And I would like to let's watch this 2-minute video that best describes what greed actually does for us. Good, isn't it? Good, isn't it? Um, where did he actually gain? When? He actually didn't gain any. He lost. What did he lose? Himself. After that sweets, after that money after money after money after money, he lost himself. He can go back. That's how greed will consume us. We don't know that we're actually slowly losing ourselves. And it takes a while. It takes a while. It's a good lesson for us, this person. Not to scold anyone, but to remind ourselves how to win against greed. Number one, be content. If you have experienced scarcity, remember how you went through it. Go back to this childhood. If you experience less of materials or emotional things, just go back. Because on that very period, you experience small wins. You experience small happiness. You experience sharing small things with other people that actually made you part of them and vice versa. Value small things that you have, not what is missing. That's what's happening now with people, especially small things that seems to be less valuable, less important. Although you're gaining it, you're not putting, I'm gonna get another one. I'm gonna get another one. In the Philippines, you're probably aware of Imelda Marcos in the 1980s. She's got a huge room for shoes only. It's probably 2,000 pairs of shoes. She only have one pair. She's never worn any, all of them. It's a very good example of greediness. Never enjoyed it. She just liked collecting those shoes and dress and live in exile. Express gratitude. Give thanks. Because gratitude is stronger than greediness. Remember, greediness removes walls. Greediness doesn't move anyone. Gratitude can put you to tears, can bring a light heart, and can acknowledge everything. Blessings from God. Check your priorities. What exactly is the reason you're working this hard? Is it to keep adding extra digit on the banks? Is it my plan is to have a good Toyota Prado one day, the latest model? For now, I will settle with my 10-year-old, if not 15-year-old Hilux. One day I will have that Prado. It's not my priority. My priority is my family there. That they'll be a good person one day and achieve what they dream of and become better person and part of these works for the Lord. And that's my priorities. And be able to help others as well. Work for the Lord is the key. Paul's message to Colossians 3:1-2. Since then you have been raised with Christ, set your hearts on things above, things that you can't see and count, things that you are hoping for, isn't it? Where Christ is seated at the right hand of God, set your minds on things above, not on earthly things. You don't have control of those. Check to whom you place your trust. Jeremiah 17:7 Verse 8. Blessed is the man who trusts in the Lord, whose trust is the Lord. He is like a tree planted by water that sends out its roots by the stream and does not fear when heat comes, for its leaves remain green, and is not anxious in the year of drought, for it does not cease to bear fruit. Beautiful message. Beautiful message for us as well. His message, Paul's message to the Philippians, do not be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer. Keep on praying. By praying, you're acknowledging that you don't have control of everything. By praying, you are also passing things to God, who will provide for us. And supplication with thanksgiving. Let your request be made known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. So from earthly, move everything to Jesus. Whatever scarcity during childhood you have experienced, whatever insecurities you have experienced, whatever cultural um, learnings you have there, reassess and shift to Jesus. Trust Him. And this message is again not for others. This message is for us. And for those parents raising a child, this is the best opportunity to shape them, the way they think and way they put their trust in the future. Thank you all for listening. Thank you, John.